I'm Mark Williams for PickupTrucks.com, and we're here on this beautiful spring day in Michigan where we're getting the first chance to drive the 2013 Ram Heavy Duty. Yes, the light duty just came out for a 2013 model year, but now they're following it up with significant changes to their heavy duty lineup. Let's take a closer look. A lot of the big news for the new Ram Heavy Duty is under the hood. Now the 5.7 and standard transmission stays exactly the same, but the Cummins is where a lot of the changes have come from. 3 different 6.7 Cummins options. The 6.7 with 350 horsepower and 660 foot-pounds of torque is going to have the manual transmission. Then there's a middle option for the Cummins. 375 horsepower, 800 foot-pounds with the factory automatic transmission, the one that existed from the 2012 model year. The brand new power, high output, max towing package Cummins engine is 385 horsepower, 850 foot-pounds of torque, and that's matched up to a brand new Aisin, at least for the 1-ton model, a brand new Aisin 6-speed transmission. Other big changes we can talk about here up front: a lot of heavy-duty cooling. A much bigger plastic fan in front of this Cummins engine helps pull a lot of the heat away, and dual radiators. Also, the intake has a choice between 2 different places it can pull air that goes into the engine. Additionally, the front suspension modified. So for the 1-ton pickup trucks, still live axle, but it's not a 5-link front suspension coil anymore. It's a 3-link, much heavier duty trailing arms, but a 3-link front suspension. The rest of the frame and the rear is just slightly modified, except for the main frame rails in this truck. That's one of the ways that they've been able to boost payload and towing, is much higher density, higher strength steel to support the backbone of this entire heavy-duty pickup truck frame. If the interior of the new Ram Heavy Duty looks familiar, it should, because the Ram engineers have decided to sync up light-duty and heavy-duty interiors. So all of the improvements, and they were significant in the light duty, now come right over into the heavy duty on all the trim packages. The Longhorn, the Laramie, the Outdoorsman, the Tradesman, all the trim packages are going to be very similar from one to another. That's because they've completely replaced the electrical architecture in order to accommodate the more significant 8-inch high-definition screen that they have in their Uconnect system. A lot of the big reasons for the changes for the Ram Heavy Duty have to do with 2 things: payload and towing. The Ram engineers wanted to be the class leader without any doubt, and that's what they got with the new frame and the much stronger engine. The new Ram Heavy Duties for 2013 with the high output Cummins engine can tow 30,000 pounds. That means this 1-ton pickup truck, when it's configured properly, has a 37,600 pound GCW. That's the biggest number we've ever seen in this segment. Also, in addition to that, factory offered 5th wheel and gooseneck options straight from the factory. So they have the cross member in the frame anyway, but if you check the box, you can simply back this up to your 5th wheel trailer or gooseneck, hook it all up, and you're set to go. In addition to that, some very cool details that they have for towing: a high mounted camera, not just a tailgate camera, but for the 5th wheel and gooseneck guys, a camera mounted above the bed that allows them from the cab to see what's going on, whether they're hitching it up or unhitching it, or what's going on while they're driving their 5th wheel or gooseneck trailer. Also, a big change for Ram Heavy Duties is that the Cummins now uses DEF fluid. So that's diesel exhaust fluid, and that container is what is sprayed into the exhaust stream that allows the emissions to meet the federal regulations. Now what that means now is that it simply is a fill cap, an additional fill cap here where you fill in the diesel, and there's a dedicated fuel gauge. From behind the wheel, the new Cummins feels incredibly confident. This particular Laramie 4-wheel drive that we have, it's a crew cab, has basically the middle Cummins engine, so 800 foot-pounds of torque, 375 horsepower. But the key elements that make this a much better vehicle than the one it's replacing, and quite possibly better than the other segment competitors that it has, is this very aggressive exhaust brake that's completely new for this year. Has 3 settings: off, exhaust brake on, which is the most aggressive setting, and then exhaust brake auto. That essentially lets you decide through computer and electronics whether or not it needs to slow you down depending on how you're reacting and how fast you're going and what your incline is. We've got about 2,000 pounds in the bed of this right now, just cinder block, and it's handling it very comfortably. It feels like it's tracking very well, and when I get my foot into it, it does a nice downshift and then takes off. So there you have it. Those are just some of the highlights from our first opportunity to drive these new 2013 Ram Heavy Duties. Our bottom line, very impressive upgrade. But if you want the full details from our road tests and our impressions, go to pickuptrucks.com.